Hello and welcome to Rolling with Two. I'm Will and with me is the deity of dice rolling herself,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a two-player perspective and accessibility for Qwixx. We do have the Qwixx Deluxe version, but since that's not very available, we're still going to just review Qwixx. So, Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right, Qwixx is a fast-playing, roll-and-write game where everyone is involved in everyone's turn. So, Will, do the rules change for two players?
Well, you say everybody is involved, but there is no Nanoman, so there is no bot player. There is no changes for two, or as this game says, 8, but as the normal Qwixx game says, 5 players.
Yes, 5 players. So the issues in a two-player game is you're going to have lower scores due to there being more. You're going to be the active player more often. So the nice thing about having a higher player count is you can take dice numbers on other players' turns, but you don't have to. So you're going to fill out your board more effectively without any penalties. But when you're the active player more often, you have to take at least one number on your turn.
Even if you don't want to.
Even if you don't want to. So it's not that the game takes any longer. It's actually not even that much faster. It's the same kind of length it feels. But just on that aspect, that can be kind of a negative thing.
Right. You just feel that much more pressure. Because
Right.
the nice thing about being the active player is when you roll your dice, you do have more choices than everybody else. Because essentially how the game works is there's 2 white dice. Everybody gets to choose that pairing to write down. The active player also has a number of colored dice based on whichever rows are available. So they can pair up different numbers of dice and actually choose 2 options on their turn, whereas everybody just has the white as a choice.
Right.
That's where it's sometimes okay to be the active player because you have that open variety of options, but when you're forced to every other turn take one, the game is ending quicker.
Right. And unfortunately, it can sometimes end quicker because of the penalty boxes, which we affectionately call the box of shame. You have 4 of these little boxes that if you cannot, or if you choose not to take a number when you're the active player, you must mark one of these boxes, which is like, wasn't it a -5?
Yes,
negative 5 points for each box. And once the 4th box is marked by any one player on their personal sheet, the game is over.
Yes.
So if games end more often that way in a 2-player game than completing 2 rows.
Yes.
But what it does well, actually, I guess I take this back. Weema noted that it does actually play extremely fast at 2 players. Whether it's just less cognitive, thinking through, because even more players are going to have to, address what everybody's got and stuff like that. But it plays fast.
I think the reason why you think it plays about the same is when it's not your turn, this game still can be fairly sociable.
Yes.
So you're filling some of that empty space with, as the active player is stressing over the one that they have to take.
Right.
You could be mentioning, because you already looked at, made your decision, it's not like you're not engaged on other people's turns. It's just your cognitive choice is less. So you're fine, make the choice, yes or no, and then you can talk.
That's true.
So it fills in that empty space.
That's a good point. So yeah, a higher player count game, you're going to have that social aspect. So that's going to fill the time, but it does take longer versus a 2-player game.
Yes.
All right, on to accessibility. Now, there are blue and green dice, so some people might have some issues with that. I mean, there's only 3 colors, red, yellow, blue, and green. So
That's 4 colors.
wow, that is 4 colors.
5 colors if you consider the white dice.
That's true. At any rate, let's not talk about how I can't count, but let's talk about that if you have a problem with the colors, the good news is all of this is open information, and it's really easy to modify it. You had some ideas there, Will.
Yeah, you can have different shaped dice. There's plenty of like crystal dice and fancy marble dice, and you can throw that in and that would be your solution. Another way is, well, what if you have 5 dice that are all the same? Well, You take the first two and go, this is the white dice. Give that number. Then you say, this is the red die. Roll that. This is the yellow die. Roll that. This is the blue die. Roll that. This is the green die. Roll that. They're not those colors.
Right.
But it solves the problem of having to differentiate colors. Yes, being able to tell colors apart will be faster, which is why I would probably recommend going with choosing different dice that you can tell apart.
Right. It'd probably be more like picking a opaque versus transparent die.
Yeah.
So pick a green transparent and an opaque blue. You'll be able to see the difference and you know which one is which.
Or maybe different materials. This one's a metal die. And,
That's true.
And this one's a wooden die. Also different sizes. This one's a really big die. This one's a small die.
Yeah. So the great news is, since it just uses basic 6-sided dice, those dice are made the most frequent in a lot of varieties and different ways, metal, and like I said, everything. So if you're having any issues with the copy that you bought, it's pretty easy to modify it in some way.
I think you can probably even get giant jumbo, like inflatable dice. And as long as there's different colors, you can even make it this a lawn game.
I wonder if anyone's also done an app where you can actually set the dice to certain colors. So it'll roll those colors for you and then tell you that the blue was this number and that.
Yeah, amongst all the various games that are out there, this is probably the one that I can say you could probably even make yourself.
True. I've seen people make like cloth versions so that they can, take it with them on the go for travel. Because then you can just put the 6 dice, 6 dice in the cloth and roll, tie it up with, you just have to have one cloth per person. And there you go. So, yeah. This is a really nice little game. I mean, I'm not saying to take it away from, Game Right, but buy it if you can. If not, you can make your own pretty easily.
Oh, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, it is pretty. It's a really inexpensive game. It's under $10.
Yeah.
The deluxe version we have here with the dry erase boards is not available anymore. We'll talk more about that in the review section.
Yeah. Another thing, accessibility-wise, is it's such an easy rule set that it has a very, very light cognitive load when it comes to teaching the game, learning the game.
We've already obviously moved into what it does right because we've blended it a little bit. But yes, what it does right, it's open information, and it's a really easy, light rule set, so it's not going to overload anybody for it. So, conclusion.
2-player.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
2-player, 5-player, 8-player. Yeah, it's fine. It's great.
Yeah. And then for accessibility.
Yes, it's open information, easy to play, easy to teach. It's very, very accessible.
Yes.
So that will do it for us here at Rolling with Two. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach us at the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two, that's TWO. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. On YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And why would you ever roll with just one when you could be rolling with two?